Hello, beautiful people. And hello, beautiful Courtney, channeling my beautiful son, Eric. Hi.
He says, "Hi, Mom." Sorry. He was he's been busy today.
What you been doing?
Well, he's been well, okay, he shows me the first thing he shows me is notes. So he's making notes to talk to us today. So there's lots he has to say. He also showed me a skateboard.
Oh, you should like the skateboard. Tried to
Yeah,
teach
he
me how
like
to do an ollie unsuccessfully.
mm.
Hey,
But
Eric,
he's ready to
what's
talk.
going on with my eyeball? It doesn't bother me at all, but it's creepy looking. I have a cold. Is that due to a virus or could it happen when right after I was working in the scalar shed? I don't know if it has to do with negative energies or entities or
It feels like you got attacked, actually, when I
well,
tune
I've
into
had
it.
black eyes because of
Yeah, it
yeah.
really does.
Okay.
We
Makes
can work
sense.
on, we can work on it later if you want
Oh,
after
I don't
this.
care. It doesn't bother me.
Okay.
You just get rid of them, Eric. Get rid of those nasties. Because sometimes when I do work, I have to work on other people's negative entities or,
Yeah,
non-benevolent
it came after
earthbounds.
you.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting for sure.
Okay.
So,
Well, well, well.
all
All
right.
right. We're going to talk about timelines and other dimensions, correct?
We are.
Yeah. All right.
And he's got a lot to say.
And by the
So
way, we'll have Courtney's information in the description box, but we're also going to put a screen up. So you guys
okay.
get a piece of paper and pencil and be ready to write it down.
Okay. Um, you can find me on CourtneyDillon.com. And I have
Yeah, what you got going on?
well, the rest of this month, nothing. But in March, I have a spring equinox workshop.
Oh,
That should be a lot of fun. We're really going to learn how to work with the energy of spring. And then in the beginning of April, I'm going to have a another 6 week course, but this one's going to be focusing on people who are really like empathic and like take on too much of other people's
yeah.
energy because that can be a really big problem I'm noticing. So we're going to make that the focal point of how to work with that in while you're opening up your intuition. So
Yeah.
a lot coming up. Yeah,
You too, busy girl.
I am
That's
busy.
exciting. That is so exciting.
Okay, so let's talk about dimensions. Do people have questions or do you want?
No, I don't have any questions. You just let Eric and you have the mic. But I will say that I remember a long time ago, Erik said that there are maybe infinite parallel dimensions, and that even heaven is one of those dimensions, like
Mhm.
4 inches above our dimension, but swirled, kind of like a yogurt, a frozen yogurt, vanilla ice cream swirled onto themselves. But
Mhm.
I'm not
Mhm.
sure. That was so long ago that he said that. So,
Okay, so what he showed me last night, because I was like, what do you want me to say about this? We're going to talk about so timelines and dimensions are, two different concepts, basically. And timelines exist within dimensions. So we can talk about dimensions first and then maybe go into timelines for a little bit. The
okay.
first thing he shows me right now and showed me last night when we're talking about dimensions is a circle. So it can be confusing to think of dimensions. It can be kind of tricky or confusing. So let's talk about like he says a circle on a piece of paper. So just imagine we have this piece of paper with a circle on it.
Okay.
The circle is the all and the everything, the all and the everything. It's
Wow.
another way you could say it is it's the oneness, it's the mystery, as it's often called, it's spirit, it's source energy. Some people call it God. Okay. So you can think of dimensions as different perspectives of the same oneness. And we ourselves can experience different dimensions depending on our frequency,
Hmm.
right? That we can, right now on the planet, that we can move into and we'll talk the difference between, because all these terms are kind of thrown around, like
Mm.
third dimension, fifth
Yeah,
dimension, all of
right.
that stuff, right? We can actually move into the fifth dimension in the span of our lifetime through our own individual frequency.
So
But
it has to
again,
be a frequency match.
yes, correct.
Okay.
And it's like, you can imagine on this circle, if you look down at it, if you're just looking at it, it just looks flat.
Right.
But you can imagine what he shows me as they're all like, not like, they're all layered on, or not layered even. They're not on top of one another, but they're, what's the word? They are all part of the same point, but depending on our frequency, we can experience them differently.
Oh, wow.
Another way of saying this is, if you can imagine right now, he's standing there with me, that you are at the top of a mountain,
Mhm.
okay? Depending on where you're standing on that mountain, you might be looking one direction, you might be looking a different direction, you might be looking straight ahead. It's simply by the way you turn your body, but you could imagine that turning your body is like your frequency.
Right.
Okay. By the way that
Like a
you turn
radio
your body,
dial turning. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. By the way you're turning your body, and what you're focusing on will be the dimension that you're seeing or experiencing. Okay. So
Fascinating.
that's just another way to
I like
maybe
that one. I can
explain it.
understand
Or
it.
does
Yeah.
that make sense? Yeah, I'm trying
Yeah.
to explain it in a
Yeah.
couple different ways so people can like latch on to something.
Okay,
Um,
but before you go on, and maybe you're going to cover this anyway. So, say I'm in the third dimension, but I want to go to the fifth dimension. My frequency's high enough that I can. Does it look the same? Like, is this still, do I see this cup? And does it, I mean, what's different?
so yes and no. Okay. And this is where timelines will come in. Yes and no. It
Okay.
will, the cup will look the same in the fifth dimension, but, and I'm kind of skipping over some stuff. So I'll answer this and then I'm going to come back to like some other important points. Okay.
Okay.
Um, the cup will look the same. My coffee mug, my coffee will look the same, but what we will experience vibrationally, meaning the types of life we have or the types of people we encounter, will be different in the fifth dimension. Meaning our attraction point based on our frequency will attract a different set of experiences, because the fifth dimension, we begin to understand ourselves as oneness.
Oh,
Okay, we begin to understand ourselves as part of that circle that I was originally talking about, right? And so that's really an important distinction, because once we understand ourselves as source or oneness, we will in effect see the world differently, right? We'll see others differently. We will experience and see others as part of this, part of that oneness. Okay.
okay.
And so what else? At that point, you will also be integrating all that you've learned in the third dimension. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
This dimension is also characterized more and more by unconditional love.
Yeah.
That you will be in your heart center more, that you will experience love for yourself, for your source energy, yourself as part of this oneness. You will see yourself, you will still be playing the role of the
Yeah.
human that you play, right? Elisa
Yeah.
or Courtney, or, would go about, and I know you do a million things every day. I do a million things every day. We're both busy, and we'll still be doing those things, but we will understand that we are playing a role, right? That we're part of the oneness.
Right. But
Okay.
there's the difference between intellectually knowing that we are part of one, that we are part of the collective and living as such.
Absolutely. Intellectually, you can know that or begin to think that or know it, but it's a different experience vibrationally to be um, knowing. I mean, like heart knowing.
Right. And
Does that
living
make sense?
and making choices
Living.
in that vein.
Absolutely. It's making and I'll explain this in a moment, but it's making more heart-centered choices.
Yeah.
It's making choices, and this is what my class is about in April in part. It's making choices in alignment with who you really are as source energy, not all these programs that people put on us,
All these false
right?
perceptions of us. Yeah.
Absolutely. And, we get all of those, sometimes we bring them in from past lives, sometimes we bring them in from, but from this lifetime, but we get all of them in our childhood, a lot of them.
Yeah.
And then we create our lives based on those programs.
Yeah.
The experience.
False identity.
Correct.
Yeah.
But in the fifth dimension, what we will begin to do is we've released a lot of that clutter. We've released a lot of that. I mean, I don't know if they would say it, garbage.
Yeah.
And we're experiencing more oneness. Okay. So that's the typical, those are the typical characteristics of the fifth dimension.
Is that what we call ascension, when you raise your vibration and get there?
Yes. Yeah, it is. But ascension is also, so ascension is also leaving the human cycle of rebirth, right? That at some point along the journey, you can decide. We actually are that powerful that we can decide, I want to clear my, karma. And by karma, I don't mean how most people throw around that term. It's not like that. It's like, what is the unhealed energy within me? Okay. That is stored. It's stored in the chakra system from life to life.
Wow.
And we begin to release that. Okay. And we begin to release that because we are ascending, essentially.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And as part of that, you will begin to experience yourself as part of the oneness, right?
Right.
It's like you understand the game.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of times we're in these lives and we're going about our lives and, we live a life and then we go back where we go back. Another way to say that Eric's reminding me to remind people, you never left.
Yeah.
Right. Also, but, we never left, but also we go back, part of us returns to the source.
Right.
We enter the dimension of what we would describe as heaven, and we are aware of the game. But when we are here in the fifth dimension on the planet, where we have the opportunity now, is we're aware of the game here.
Right.
Yeah. One important point about dimensions is that they exist simultaneously. Okay. They exist simultaneously. So Eric told you the truth before. There are infinite parallel dimensions.
Okay.
It's not, how do I explain this? What he's saying? It's almost too much for the human mind. Actually, if we were to think about all the infinite parallel, I mean, it's a lot, right? But he has really characteristics of 9 dimensions that are appropriate for us to understand. But I'd say what is most important for us as humans right now to understand is that we for a long time were in the reality of Earth in the 3rd dimension. And the 3rd dimension is we have the opportunity within the third dimension to experience a lot of contrast, a lot of polarity, a lot of good and bad and
Yeah.
evil.
Very
And,
powerful. Yeah.
it's very powerful. And we, in this lifetime, because of the energy shift on the planet, have the opportunity to change our own personal energy and move through our frequency, through our own personal vibration to a higher frequency and experience living more and more in the fifth dimension.
Well, I'm going to stop and say something that
Okay.
it's interesting that as a collective throughout history, there's no time, but
Yep.
you know, we have we are in this contrast a consciousness, this polarity consciousness. And long ago it was man, I mean the authority that contrasting with individuals like religion and the Spanish Inquisition and whatever. And then we eventually moved to a state where we were having this polarity between each other. Of course, that was always there anyway, and moving away from man, the authority, creating this polarity with us. But hopefully now with the age of Aquarius, we are, because that's all, survival through of the fittest competition.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're
Mm-hmm.
moving to survival through collaboration, through unity.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
unity consciousness is what hopefully we're moving into as our vibration ascends. But that's all.
Absolutely. No, that's really a good point. And we are moving into unity consciousness. Eric's saying we're already there, but it's like we have to catch up. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah,
we're
right.
right. We
Right.
as humans, as a human collective, have to catch up.
Yeah.
It is important to mention, he says, it's like, not everybody's getting on this train. He shows me a very fast moving train. Not everybody's getting on the train. And he's also saying not everybody's meant to.
Mm.
We're not
Oh,
here
wow.
to decide if that person's going to do their work and get there,
Yeah.
right? Because sometimes, and he's reminding me of this, and this is an important thing to mention, sometimes people will play roles for us in our lives so that we wake up, so that we do what we're here to
A
do, et
spiritual
cetera, et
work.
cetera. Right.
Right.
Like they're maybe saying, I'm going to stay back this lifetime and not do my work. Right. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
And so it's important to just imagine if you're getting on the train, which I imagine if you're watching this video, that's what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
If you're on the train, you're not looking at other people from a place of judgment,
Yeah.
right? That you're seeing them I mean, it's not to say to not have boundaries and all that. That's all true. But that you're seeing them as part of the oneness.
Yeah.
And that some people in this opportunity to realize their own aspect of that they are source, that they will take that opportunity right now and it will be powerful for them. And some people will not.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what he refers to, or what others and he's referring to and showing me in this moment is the timeline split of what
Oh.
is happening on the planet, meaning we'll see some people that decide to get on board,
And
right?
do their shadow work and evolve and all that. Right.
Absolutely, right? You
But
have
why do some
you
not? I don't get that. I know you
there
explained it, but I don't.
well there some people, we all have a choice,
Yeah.
and he's showing me and saying that we all have a choice, and it is an aspect of our free will whether we want to do this now or not. We have to decide.
Are they playing that part, not doing their
Some
work
people
because for
are.
the collective? Is there some reason?
Some people
And
are.
how?
Okay.
Why? Why are they? Is this some way of their contributing to the collective's growth just by staying
He's
behind? And
he's saying yes. Yes, that is possible. But again, there's many possibilities here for some
yeah.
people that are not, choosing to ascend or do their work in this
Some are
lifetime.
just lazy. I'm kidding.
No, he's not disagreeing with you, actually.
Oh, okay.
Some people are just being given, it's like, sorry, he shows me this, he's funny. He shows me this line of people right now, and some people are just putting their head in the sand.
Oh yeah.
And that's what they're going to do. They have more access to the truth. They know, they are starting to see things about themselves. They're having the opportunity to do their work, and they're just putting their head in the sand. Yeah. So that's also a possible fear. Absolutely. So that's important to understand right now, that it's not a place. This is important. The fifth dimension is not a place that you arrive. It's not a place we get to. It's not a place we will all of a sudden wake up one day and live in a different earth. We are in the fifth dimension as we shift our frequency. Okay. And he wants to respond to those people that he can hear, because he can hear people who are saying, yeah, but the planet's such a mess right now. We are together going to create this new experience on the planet.
The new earth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's rocky right now, very rocky. I mean, I think we all can agree. And we do not create new earth by looking and pointing the finger at other people. No. We create new earth by tuning in and changing and transmuting the pain that we have and what needs to be transmuted. Yeah. Because we can't experience fifth dimension when we're holding on to really heavy bags. Because you really don't need a lot of luggage in the fifth dimension. Does that make sense? Yeah. That's what you're showing, like these big carpet bags.
Why in the world did it take so long for the invention of wheels on luggage to happen? I'm just saying. I see these old movies and they carry these.
It's he's showing me these like big, what are they, carpet bags or something?
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, it's like those Mary Poppins bags.
Yeah.
I used to love that movie when I was a kid.
I know.
So anyway, we have to be the work right now. Many people are getting to have like kind of these wake ups, and they're rude awakenings. Sorry, rude awakenings. Yeah. This is the time to do your work, not point the finger, because that's not how we get.
It doesn't help. Because you're harming the collective if you're judging and having negative aspersions on.
I mean, you can look around the world and realize, there are things that are not awesome that are happening. That's fair, but it's not it's like your point of attention needs to be on yourself and, myself and yours and all that, right? Because that's how we can experience the fifth dimension.
So it's perspective, like you're on the mountaintop type of perspective.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. It's like where you're looking, where you're putting your attention.
Inward.
Yeah. So I don't know if the mountain quite works, but that's what he showed me, because they said that would be helpful to people.
Okay.
Okay. So does that all make sense? I was like, I hope I explained this all. Okay.
I'm going to have to watch it again, but I saw many years ago a Scientific American or whatever, that scientists have discovered there are parallel dimensions. So I think that's interesting.
Yeah, there are. There absolutely are. Many. Yeah. Infinite. Okay. And this is important. Last thing about dimensions, and then we're going to go into timelines.
Okay.
We exist simultaneously in all dimensions.
Oh, okay.
Because we are the circle.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
That's kind of trippy to think about, but.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
Yeah.
So.
Okay. One thing I want to ask about is animals. Do animals also ascend when we are animal companions? What happens to them?
He's saying that
Winnie and Bella.
I know. Animals actually are. most of the time animals are already living in the fifth dimension.
I believe it.
Yeah, they're not, if you can see that most, I mean, I'm thinking about my dog. I mean, it's unconditional love all the time. I mean, she
I
can
know.
be,
Plus, they have no
be
opposable thumbs, so they can't grab carpet bags.
right.
So there we go.
No, it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Animals themselves, it's like the purity of their soul.
Yeah.
As they're not as prone to falling into these negative thought patterns as us. That they exist primarily in the fifth dimension. Already, I didn't know
Cool.
that.
That's cool.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's dimension. Okay, and then we can talk for a little bit if you want about timelines.
Yeah.
Okay. So he wants us to think of a timeline as a continuum, like we are living on right now in this moment. You are living on a timeline, and I'm living on a timeline. Okay.
Right.
This timeline is a continuum of like spatial elements
Yeah.
that
Space
can
time continuum. That's not a movie. I can't remember.
exactly
Yeah.
that can vary moment to moment based on the user, he means human,
Right.
based on our choices, okay, and our experience in life. So we are on this timeline and we are creating our timeline based on our choices in life, right? And most people are kind of creating from the past, right? They're creating out of programs. I'm not, a lot of people on the call are really trying not to. So that's
Right.
good news, right? Right. And then you kind of stay on the same, types of experiences in your life. But once you change and begin to, heal your trauma, transmute your thought patterns, change your thought patterns, the types of thoughts you think, you work on yourself, you heal your past. All of these things contribute to the frequency that we are emitting and the types of instructions that we are giving to the field, to the circle.
So when we don't do that, we're looking at the past and fretting over the past and using that to dread the future, and all that is past looking. But
Well, yeah, but if you think about it, a lot of us aren't even doing this consciously. Like this is happening kind of on sometimes even like a subconscious level.
okay.
I'll give you an example. Like, there's I'll just think of an example. There's somebody I know who is a female and she always seems to attract the same type of guy, non-committal,
Yeah.
doesn't give
See
her,
that a
it's just like,
lot.
right? Okay. And it's like she gets out of the relationship. She's like, oh, I'm never going to do that again. And then she starts dating a new guy. This guy might look very different,
Yeah.
but it's that same type of energy. Well,
Yeah.
what's really happening there?
That's an
First
energy
of all,
match.
it's an
Right.
energy match.
Right.
Okay. It's not
Like attracts
because,
like.
yeah, that's one way to put it. But another way to like think more, maybe even like up level that idea is to think about that her programming,
Mm-hmm.
her belief system, she inherited beliefs from her parents. Parents may have told her things. I'm not trying to blame the parents, but
Yeah.
let's just make it simple. Parents told her things when she was a kid, or she saw her parents' marriage, or XYZ. There's some combination of things. And she started to believe something. This belief then turns into a program. Mm-hmm. This program is like an instruction manual for what she's attracting. It's like
a blueprint.
Yeah, absolutely. So she's attracting same type of crap over and over, right? And so her job, so she may not be consciously doing it. That's important for people to understand. This isn't necessarily that we're like, oh, I'm going to go out and date another crappy person. We don't want to do these things, right?
Right.
At some point, though, along the way, she hopefully will come to the conclusion that there is something within me that is attracting and creating this echo, the same type of thing along the same timeline.
So eventually, when she does that, instead of having something to the past, past choice being part of the forward movement, the timeline will split, and she will make choices based on a new energetic vibration of
Absolutely.
herself and a new her authentic
Absolutely.
carving out and finding the
That
real
timeline
identity.
cannot, is only a creation of our moment to moment choices and that type of energy
Right.
so that timeline, yeah, you could say it splits. You could say that timeline dissolves. She moves to a different
Oh yeah, I
timeline.
like that one.
Either way, same idea.
Yeah.
She will move to a timeline in which she is no longer experiencing the same thing over and over. Maybe she begins to love herself. Maybe she heals her past trauma. Maybe she heals her, bad thing that happened to her when she's 7. I'm just giving examples,
Yeah.
right? But
Right.
the point is, you're not just talking about those things, you're healing the energy, right? And when you heal the energy, when you clear the origin of the energy, she can move to a different timeline. I mean, Elisa, I'm a living example of this my whole life. I like really, 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 this is possible. This is not just like made up science. And
And me
Erik
too.
wants, yeah,
I agree. It can be done. And once you know, you let that old blueprint timeline die off and you have your new one, your energetic frequency moves up, and then you match a different dimension vibrationally, right? So
the
is that how the timeline and dimension
there
issue?
are, the way he was describing it is there are various timelines, personal timelines within each dimension. At a certain point within, say you clear enough out, you will start to experience a timeline within the next dimension. Does
Okay.
that make sense? Okay,
Yeah.
so it's like the timelines, the way to think about it, if I mean some of this gets complicated, but I'm hoping I explain it well. The timelines exist within the dimensions.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. And there are it we don't want to be too confusing. So it's important that we're understanding that we have individual timelines.
Yeah.
And sometimes when this is a really important point he wants me to bring up to
Okay.
people, when we are doing a lot of work and a lot of change all at once, and it can be painful, it's hard. This is not easy stuff because we're like clearing stuff
Crap.
out.
Yeah.
It can appear that your life for a minute is sort of falling apart.
Yeah.
Why? Because that timeline has to dissolve. And there is a moment of lag time where you're like, the new hasn't shown up,
Oh yeah.
but I feel like I'm hanging out in limbo. And the reason I'm saying that is because some people on this call are feeling that way.
Yeah.
That they're like, I've done all this work, my life's still kind of crap, and it's, I lost my job and my girlfriend left or whatever,
Right.
but here's the thing, when we are no longer a vibrational match for those people or those places or those experiences anymore, they have to leave.
Yeah.
They will leave because we don't have anything there's no magnetism there.
Right.
Right. And we will move into a new set of experiences, a new job, new girlfriend, new boyfriend, whatever it is. But that's part of this new timeline based on our new and elevated and true frequency.
Right. So do we seek out like if we're working on our spiritual growth, seek out new friends that have similar interests, spirituality and
Yeah,
self work and all that? Does that help expedite things?
uh, yes, it can, but it's all energy, meaning
Yeah,
that our point of attraction is so powerful. And this is what it's hard for us as humans to understand, right? Even myself, like I'm like, this is, and I've been at this a minute, and it's
yeah,
still sometimes tricky for me to get. Our point of attraction is so powerful. Our beliefs are so powerful that we, through the field, can actually draw to us new types of friends.
yeah. And new
I'm not
jobs
saying
and
and
new
new jobs
careers, new
and
everything.
new
Yeah,
boyfriends and new this and new the husbands and whatever you
yeah,
want,
right.
really, essentially.
Right.
You want to live in a new house or,
Yeah,
right? But it's not based so much anymore on this, like, I need to reinforce what other people have told me is true about myself, right? You actually are starting to understand, oh, I'm clearing all this stuff and I'm really starting to understand what is actually true in my
yeah.
heart.
What the true me is.
The true me is the oneness.
Yes.
The true me has always existed and will always exist.
Wow.
And that's a once you really know that in your heart, that's powerful.
Yeah.
That means nothing on the outside has the power to um, take that truth away. No person, no circumstance, no one can do it.
Yeah.
Once we know that actual truth about ourselves, we become more peaceful.
Yeah.
We become more grateful with the now experience, right? Um,
Absolutely.
so that's timeline. It's interesting because my guides earlier this year, and Erik, I believe, was there during a reading. They started talking about this thing called the golden timeline. And it was just in a reading, and I, got off and I like wrote some stuff down because I was like, oh, I got to remember this.
Yeah.
And what they were talking about is the opportunity that we have as humans in this particular juncture on earth
Yeah.
to experience our divine timeline,
Yeah.
the timeline that we came here to experience.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. Now,
That's cool.
if you have been really created your whole life from these programs, you may have a little bit of unraveling or untangling or undoing for a bit, and that's
Mhm.
okay. But you can, as a human, because remember, our point of attraction, our intention is that powerful
Yeah.
that we can claim that we want to live on our divine timeline,
Yeah.
that we want to we want to do what we came here to do. We want to be with the people who are meant to be around us on this timeline. So,
That'd be a good thing to put in the 369 journal. 3 times in the morning, 6 times, 9 times I am on my
absolutely.
timeline. So that's
Yeah.
something to consider, guys. So that's really quite interesting. So, what can a person tell themselves or do in order to make it through the unraveling part until they get to that divine timeline?
Um,
Is there a mantra that, or any?
Okay, yeah, couple. I'm sorry. He always just does things that are funny. One, it's the okay. It's kind of gross, but when you're like, you have to get a band-aid off your skin. If you do it fast, it's less
Yeah,
painful. But
yeah,
if you're resisting it and you're doing it kind of slow, it really hurts.
right.
That's used in this moment to remind people that you just kind of have to go with it,
Yeah,
even if it's painful, even if it's not pleasant, because
right.
it frankly won't be.
Yeah,
It won't be. And it's not that you are saying that Erik, sorry. It's not that Erik is saying that this process will necessarily go really fast. But it will go fast in the entire like span of your soul, meaning
Yeah, right.
right. I mean, yes, this is going fast, but
Yeah,
it may feel like it drags on for a bit
yeah,
because we've got a bit of unraveling to do, or we have healing to do, or whatever it is. That's okay. It's just to know I'm going to allow this to happen. I'm going to, and I'm not going to resist it. I'm going to feel what I need to feel. And he says the most important thing is that you are standing in the truth of who you are, because you wouldn't be doing all that if there wasn't some spark within you that knows that there is some truth in there,
exactly.
that this divine
Yeah.
spark of light, you wouldn't be doing all that.
Be
Why
you and own it,
bother?
people. Be you and
Yeah.
own it. Yeah.
So that's, let the let the band-aid come off.
Right. That's not
Yeah.
gross.
I mean, it's like a little gross, but
It's
it
okay.
shows me the wound underneath, and it's particularly unpleasant. But I didn't give
Oh,
a lot of
nice,
details.
Eric. Good. A lot of
Yeah,
pus,
yeah, like
maggots.
pus, and yeah, it's
Yeah,
gross. But
awesome.
I left
Well,
out that part.
what if a person is like, oh my God, I'm going to be homeless here pretty soon. I need money. And I can't wait for that divine timeline to manifest itself. I'm going to starve to death. What about people in dire straits?
Well, he's saying that there is truly assistance. There's truly hope in any situation
Yeah, just
at
ask for it.
any time. But this is important. At any time, we have the opportunity to take responsibility for our lives and our energy. Okay. At
That's right.
any time. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, you could be living out of your car. I'm not saying it's awesome, right?
right.
Not awesome, horrible. And you can, in those dark moments, and ask, call on your team, call on your spirit, say, Source, I am here to do my work. Show me what I need to do.
Nice.
Show me.
Yeah,
And you can change your circumstance.
yeah,
It might not be in 2 days,
yeah.
right? But you can.
Okay. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That thing in
So
April is going to be awesome. Your workshop. Wow.
I think it's going to be good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
All right. So it's on your website how to get to that, right?
I'm yes. The right now the spring equinox, well, this isn't going to go out till later. So
Right.
we'll be on there tomorrow.
Okay.
And then the other one will be on there. There's a waiting list that you can sign up
Okay.
for the new one, and that will be on there. And then the page for all the information will be on there in just a couple weeks. I'm getting it done right now. So
Sounds good.
yeah.
All right.
So
Anything else you want to share about this really interesting, mind-blowing topic, Eric and Courtney?
that what else? I wrote it in my notes. He said something I need to go back to. One second.
Okay.
He's saying, where did I have it? About timelines. There are points, okay, in our timeline that we're living on
Yeah.
that we can experience change very, very quickly.
Oh,
That we just are like, well, let's just do our work. We're going to dissolve this. We're going to find a new job. We're going to, it's like boom, 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 happens very quickly.
yeah.
And there are other portions where making the change is absolutely possible because we always have free will, but it won't be as easy.
Yeah.
And so that's not to discourage anyone right now, but it's just to give you information that, like, if you are having a feeling that my life does not seem to be changing fast enough, you might be at another, point. Because even the idea of a timeline, it's kind of based on this idea of time, right?
Yeah.
But we're going with it.
Right.
At another point, change is still possible, but it may be take a little more effort. Okay.
Okay.
Um, and each person also, as far as a timeline, has it sort of looks like a fabric. And each
Okay.
person seems to have what looks like a predominant color of
Hmm.
their timeline, which is just interesting. So you can probably, not can probably, you can, if you want, tune in and experience your timeline, your timeline.
And you can
Um,
visualize a color.
yeah, you can visualize, you just ask what color it is.
Yeah.
There is a class, I forgot about this. I taught it a long time ago, but he's telling me to mention it. There is a class on my website in the library. If you go back in the library, that's called timeline shifting or jumping. I can't remember which it is. And we went into all about, really starting to be clear about what timeline am I on right now based on my energy right now, my
Yeah.
choices. And then there's an exercise where you can actually feel into your next highest timeline.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And
Y'all check out
experience
her
it.
library. I'm sure there's a lot of great stuff there.
There's a lot of stuff, and I think it's pretty affordable. It's not super expensive or anything.
Awesome. Very good.
So
Yeah,
that
you've
could help
always
as
been
well.
very reasonable. All right. Well,
So
thank you, Courtney.
thank
And
you
thank
very
you,
much.
Eric. And thank you guys for listening. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next one. And again, be sure you research Courtney's site. Love
Thank
you
you.
all.
Love you. All right. Thank
Okay.
you. Bye bye.
Bye.